don't know about you guys, but I personally hate being lied to. You know, when you're talking to someone, it's like a gut-wrenching feeling when you know that someone is lying straight to your face. Or for example, when you find out about something, you just want to share it with the whole world, and then you later find out that it's not true. You know, it's like that feeling you had as a child when you found out that Santa Claus isn't real. You know, there's a long debate between creation and evolution. And if we think about it, there's only two sides to it. One has to be right, and one has to be false. So, personally, I was born and raised in a Christian family. I believe that there is a God. And when I started going to public school, I saw that it was completely opposite of what I was being taught or raised in. And I began questioning my faith. And I decided to research this topic. And after watching various debates, reading different books, and finding the viewpoints of different people, I came to a conclusion. There is no scientific evidence for the theory of evolution, and majority of it is based on a fraud. This is really important for you guys to understand because most of the evidence that is given to you in schools, you are never presented the other argument. Due to time restraints, we only have time to talk about two lies that I brought in. Ernest Haekle's embryological drawings and the Peppered Moth. Now, Ernest Haekle, in 1866, he was an atheist and believed in evolution. He read Darwin's book and thought, okay, wow, this is a great book, now we need some evidence. So he came up with a law called the biogenetic law. Pretty much in a short summary, it's stating that us as humans, being on top of the evolutionary ladder, we share some common ancestors with the other primitive species, specifically in embryological development. He himself studied this and was a philosopher and a very creative artist. So I'm sure most of you have seen this picture. The top row is the same state of development of all the other animals here. This right here proves evolution, that we do share a same embryological development along with others. So we do have a common ancestor. Unfortunately, he lied. This was all false. And right here, Dr. Michael Richardson actually photographed real embryos. And, I mean, I guess it looks kind of similar. The salamander had a little problem, but there is a difference between this. And when Dr. Richardson was being interviewed by Nigel Hawkins for The Times, which is a newspaper in London, he wrote, "This is one of the worst causes of scientific fraud. It is shocking to find that somebody one thought was a great scientist was deliberately misleading. It makes me angry. What Haekle did was to take a human embryo, copy it, pretending that the salamander and the pig and all the others look the same at the same stage of development. They don't. These are fakes." Stephen Jay Gould, an American paleontologist, evolutionary biologist, and a famous historian of science, himself said Haekle had exaggerated the similarities by idealizations and omissions. He simply copied the same figure over and over again. In 1997, an article titled Haekle's Embryos, Fraud Rediscovered. The journal Science, they recognized that generations of biology students, like many of us today, have been misled by famous set of drawings of embryos published 123 years ago by the German biologist Ernest Haekle. Right now it's been 142 years ever since its publishings. And this picture above is being shown in our textbooks today. Haekle was tried by 5 of his professors. They realized that there was a problem in that. And he confessed. He said that he specifically and purposely altered his drawings. And he also gave himself an excuse. He said, "I should feel utterly condemned and annihilated by the admission were it not that hundreds of the best observers and biologists lie under the same charge. The great majority of all morphological, anatomical, histological, and embryological diagrams are not true to nature, but more or less doctored, schematized, or reconstructed." Bowden Malcolm wrote this in his book, Aikman, Fact or Fallacy. So it's interesting how Haekle himself threw all the other sciences under the bus and admitted to being false, admitted that he made up this information, and we still have this in our books, and we're teaching this to our children. There's another thing, the solution kind of to all of this is that God, He created the earth, He created the heavens, He created you, He created all the animals according to their kind. And even though there may be some similarities in embryological development, or there are similarities between animals, it just simply proves that there is a common designer or a common creator that designed all of this. Another fraud that is being taught in our books is the peppered moth. I found out about this a couple months ago, and I honestly was very mad. We all know the story. In England's Industrial Revolution, there was white-colored moths on trees, and then the soot came from the factories, the trees turned black. There was less light-colored moths and more black-colored moths. Amazing story, but this picture that you see right here, it's fake. Those are dead moths. Now, British scientist Cyril Clarke, who investigated the peppered moth, he wrote, "But the problem is that we do not know the resting sites of the moth during the daytime. In 25 years, we have only found 2 moths on tree trunks or walls adjacent to our traps, and then none elsewhere." So, pretty much, they had something to accomplish. They needed to find evidence. They couldn't find evidence. So they took moths, killed them, glued them on a tree, took a picture, posted them in our textbooks, and this is what people believe. University of Massachusetts biologist Theodore Sargent helped glue moths onto trees for a NOVA documentary. He says textbooks and films have featured a lot of fraudulent photographs. To me, this is very upsetting that evolutionary scientists have no basis for their truth, so they have to make up lies and make up these facts, and this is what our children, this is what many of us has been taught. Now, we just talked about Haekle's embryos, which is a very artistic fraud, and the peppered moth experiment, which was a very deadly lie. And I would love to get into detail about all the other frauds in evolutionary history and the other scientific evidence that they claim to have. However, we do not have the time. But the conclusion that we can come to is that so far all the evidence for the evolutionary theory is false. So that leads to the other option, that there is a creator, there is a God, and that God, He made you, He made me, in His image, and He loves each and every single one of us, and He wants a relationship with us. That's the whole reason that why He created us. And I don't want to leave you guys with empty-handed. I want to give you guys a reliable source, because I want each and every single one of you to conduct your own research and come to your own conclusion. Not only just listen to me. Kent Hovind is a very reliable source of information that you can listen to. You can just Google or look up on YouTube "Why Evolution is Stupid" by Kent Hovind. It's maybe a very interesting title, but he simply goes through all the different steps of evolution, what they believe from the gap theory, from the Big Bang to the formation of the Grand Canyon to carbon dating. And personally, I don't like to live in a world full of lies, and I don't want to fall under a lie, and I want the same thing for you guys as well. Thank you.
You flowed really well, and it seemed like you rehearsed it a lot, which was, your voice is very good for speaking, and I don't know, it was really easy to listen, and I was kind of